Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going deep on rewiring our thinking for success.
Oh, yeah.
We've got excerpts and summaries from a new mode of thinking,
Sounds interesting.
and it's kind of like, a toolkit for a more fulfilling life.
I like it.
And I'm excited to unpack all these powerful strategies with you.
Me too. I'm really fascinated by this work because, it's not just positive thinking.
Right.
It's really about changing your perspective
Okay.
and then taking a proactive approach to challenges.
So let's dive into this new mode of thinking, right? The core concept is that our thoughts shape our reality.
Yeah.
There's this really powerful quote that says, a new mode of thinking is what is needed each and every day as the world continually changes, thus giving us new challenges that are unique to us.
Hmm.
But doesn't that put a lot of pressure on us? Like, are we responsible for everything that happens to us?
That's such a great question, and I think it kind of highlights a misconception. We don't want to blame ourselves for every bad thing that happens. It's more about realizing we have control over our reactions and choices
Oh, I see.
more than we realize sometimes.
So it's not about like toxic positivity. It's
Right.
more about being solution oriented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Acknowledge the challenge and focus on what we can control,
Okay.
our attitude and actions.
And speaking of choosing how we see things, there's this idea of golden goggles, right?
Okay.
Viewing everyone and everything with like positivity.
Yeah,
Is that always realistic?
right.
I mean, what if we miss genuine problems? Or
Sure.
what if someone takes advantage of us?
Well, that's a good point. And it's not about ignoring negativity or pretending everything is perfect.
Okay.
It's more about choosing where we focus our attention.
So it's like looking for the good.
Yeah, exactly. The potential for growth, even in situations that are difficult.
So I'm intentionally shifting our perspective to see the opportunity in every challenge. But how do we do that?
Right.
How do we go from just like thinking positively to actually living it?
I think that's where Think, Believe, Achieve comes in.
Okay.
It's presented as more than a catchy phrase. It's a framework for aligning our thoughts, beliefs, and actions.
Okay, so then is that oversimplifying things? What about when life throws curveballs?
Yeah.
Can simply believing in something really overcome obstacles?
You're right. Belief alone is not like a magic solution.
Right.
But it can be really powerful, a driving force. It can, fuel persistence,
Okay.
willingness to adapt, learn from those curveballs, and ultimately increase our chances of success.
So it's about like having that faith in ourselves and our ability.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely, to navigate the challenges.
but there's also like a lot to be said for being prepared, right?
Yes.
Like the idea that luck is often preparation meeting opportunity.
Absolutely. Being prepared allows us to capitalize on those unexpected opportunities.
Okay,
Think about it. If you're not ready when that lucky break comes,
right.
it passes you by.
So it's like putting in the work, honing our skills, and just like being open.
Yeah, yeah. Be open.
Which brings us to another point, taking that first step.
Yes.
And this excerpt really hit me. The most important part of any journey is taking that first step, as that first step usually comes with lots of questions and even more doubt. There are people out there with some of the most powerful, life-changing ideas who didn't even take that first step. Questions and doubt stopped the journey before it even started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so true.
Right?
Doubt can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
Stuck overthinking every outcome. But, that passage reminds us that action, even imperfect action, is essential for progress.
So it's about pushing past that fear, right?
Yeah,
Even when we don't have all the answers.
that's right.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about these ideas in the workplace.
Okay.
Imagine golden mentality at work,
Yeah, I like it.
where everyone is focused on amplifying each other's abilities and, starting interactions from like genuine positivity.
Right.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be transformative, and the source material really emphasizes that.
Yeah.
That this kind of environment creates collaboration, support, and makes everyone feel valued and empowered.
Okay.
And it all starts with how we see our colleagues.
So instead of focusing on flaws or labeling them, we try to understand them
Yeah.
and approach every interaction with positivity.
Yes.
Honestly, though, isn't that easier said than done?
Sure.
What about coworkers who are just difficult?
You're raising a very valid point.
Right.
It's not about pretending everyone is perfect
Okay.
or ignoring real issues, but it's about choosing to start from a place of good faith and recognizing that everyone has something to offer,
Okay.
even if it's not immediately apparent.
So it's about focusing on their strengths,
Yes, exactly.
even when we see weaknesses. What about the power of positive language?
Oh, absolutely.
I imagine that plays a role in creating this golden mentality.
Absolutely. The source material emphasizes that our words have a really powerful impact.
Right.
Positive language reinforces positive feelings and thinking.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, this next part really got me thinking. Knowing your why.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Discovering our purpose is key to finding fulfillment and direction.
Right.
The source material claims, many people spend years of unfulfilled lives because they never ask themselves that one simple question: why? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's easy to, get caught up in day-to-day life
Right.
and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right, yeah.
But having a clear sense of purpose can guide our decisions,
It can.
makes those everyday tasks feel more meaningful,
Absolutely.
and ultimately, I think, lead to a more fulfilling life. Wouldn't you agree?
I completely agree. Knowing our why provides a framework for making choices that align with our values and aspirations.
So it's like a compass
Exactly. It guides us through life.
through all the complexity.
All the ups and downs, yeah.
So we have to ask ourselves tough questions.
Yes, we do.
Like, why am I doing this?
Right. What do I truly value? What kind of impact do I want to make?
Now let's talk about emotional labor. It's often seen as a burden, but this source material describes it as a gift.
It's an interesting reframe, isn't it?
Yeah.
We often associate emotional labor with exhaustion and resentment,
Right.
especially if we feel unappreciated.
Exactly.
But this passage encourages us to change our focus.
Okay.
It says the only power we have in emotional labor is the giving part of it. We can't control how the people we give it to will receive it.
Mm.
What if, instead of dwelling on how our emotional labor is received, we focus on the act of giving?
That's interesting.
How would that shift things for us?
So it's not about controlling the outcome,
No,
but rather the intention.
precisely. It's about recognizing that we can choose to approach emotional labor with generosity and compassion rather than feeling drained or resentful.
So it's about empowerment in the act of giving.
Yes.
Okay. That's a powerful shift.
It is. It allows us to, kind of reclaim our agency in a situation that can feel taxing.
This concept of reclaiming our power really resonates with me.
Yeah, me too.
And speaking of power, the source material talks about raising your ceiling.
Okay.
I love this analogy of a basketball coach pushing his players to aim for the NBA,
Right.
even if they don't all make it.
It's a great analogy
Yeah.
that highlights how important it is to expand our limitations. We often set our own limits on what we think we can achieve.
So it's about challenging those beliefs and striving for continuous improvement,
Exactly.
even if we don't always reach those big goals.
Right, because it's about growth, the realization that we are capable of so much more than we often give ourselves credit for.
Okay, but what about when we face setbacks? How do we deal with doubt and discouragement?
Well, the source material has a cool technique for that: brush it off. I love the imagery,
Right.
like physically and mentally brushing dust off your shoulder.
So important, letting go of negativity.
Yeah.
But does it really become that easy to just brush it off?
It may not always be easy, especially at first, but the more we do it, the more automatic it becomes.
So training our minds
Yes.
to focus on the positive, see the opportunity.
Yeah. Even in challenges.
What about when we're facing those really tough challenges, the ones that make us question everything?
Oh, yeah.
The source material talks about thinking like a leopard.
Ah, yes, the leopard.
Right,
A creature known for focus and resilience.
right.
Yeah.
They face a ton of obstacles,
Right.
but they don't dwell on failures. They refocus, learn, and keep moving forward.
Exactly. And the source material suggests we can do that too.
So embracing that tenacity, that willingness to learn from setbacks.
Yes, exactly. It's about shifting our perspective on failure.
Okay,
Instead of seeing it as defeat, we can choose to view it as a learning opportunity.
so embracing failures as feedback.
Yeah. Stepping stones on our path to growth.
It ties back to choosing how we respond to the 99%. That's out of our control.
Right.
We can choose to see setbacks as temporary roadblocks, not as dead ends.
Absolutely.
This has been such a thought-provoking dive into a new mode of thinking.
Yes, it has.
I'm feeling inspired to apply these ideas.
Me too, and I can't wait to go deeper.
Okay, but before we move on, I got to ask, what stood out to you the most from this first part?
That's a good question. I think what really resonates with me is, well, this emphasis on personal responsibility really stood out to me.
Okay.
It's not about, waiting for things to happen
Right.
or blaming stuff for our unhappiness.
Yeah.
It's about, taking ownership of our thoughts,
Okay.
feelings, and actions. That's where empowerment is.
I totally agree with that. And it's not about being perfect either.
Right, not at all.
Or never experiencing negativity.
Right.
It's recognizing we have a choice
Yes.
in how we respond.
That's what's so empowering about it.
I love that.
It's like going from victim to architect.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
We're building our own reality, right?
Yeah.
But building takes work.
Of course, of course.
And this new mode of thinking, That's no exception.
Right.
There will be times we slip up,
Absolutely.
fall back into old habits. What do we do then?
I think that's where brushing it off comes in.
Right.
Remember that, dusting off your shoulder,
Oh, yeah.
acknowledging negativity, but choosing to release it?
So it's like saying, okay, I felt that, but I'm not going to let it take over.
Yeah,
I'm going to move on.
Exactly. And it gets easier the more we do it.
Okay.
We train our minds to be positive,
Right. To see the good.
even in those tough situations.
Speaking of challenges, let's go back to thinking like a leopard.
Oh, yeah, the leopard. I love this one.
It's a cool analogy. What can we learn from them?
Well, they're masters of adaptation and resilience, right?
Right.
They're always facing threats.
Yeah.
Predators, no food, crazy weather,
Wow, yeah.
but they stay focused on surviving.
That's pretty powerful. Like they just bounce back.
Yeah, they adapt and evolve to thrive.
And we can do that too.
That's what the source says
Okay.
about how we see failure.
Right.
Not a defeat, but a chance to learn.
So embracing failures as feedback.
That's it.
Stepping stone.
Exactly. The source says once we start to think like a leopard, we find ourselves excelling in every situation as we look at each failure as a learning curve, and our successes are greatly appreciated, leading us to fulfilling lives. It's a growth mindset.
I like it.
Every experience, good or bad, adds to our journey.
That's really inspiring.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about, choosing how we respond.
Yes.
To that 99% we can't control.
Right.
Setbacks are just roadblocks.
That's it. Temporary roadblocks.
Not the end.
And when we see it that way, we get stronger,
Okay.
more resilient, adaptable, and ultimately more successful.
So what's the key takeaway for our listeners today?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What do I want them to walk away with?
Yeah.
Okay, how about this? The power to create a more fulfilling and successful life, it's within each of us.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about knowing we have the ability to choose,
Exactly.
our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions.
We can't control everything that happens,
Sure.
but we can control how we see it, how we respond to it.
It's about taking ownership
Yeah.
of our happiness,
Yes.
our success, our destiny.
Beautifully said. And, it's an ongoing process.
Of course.
Constant growth and evolution.
That's what makes it so exciting, right?
Yes.
Always something new.
Absolutely.
Challenging ourselves, growing.
And this new mode of thinking, it gives us what we need,
the tool.
the right perspective to deal with challenges and create a life that, really reflects who we are and what we want.
Okay, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with one last question.
Ooh, I love a good cliffhanger.
Think about everything we talked about, golden goggles, brushing it off, that leopard.
Yeah,
What's one small step you can take today
right now.
to shift your thinking, to embrace this new way of thinking?
That's the question.
What's your first step? Think about it. Share it with us online. We'd love to hear from you
We would.
about your journey to a more empowered life.
And remember, every journey starts with a single step.
This has been such an inspiring conversation.
It really has.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into a new mode of thinking.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, remember,
You have the power, to create the life you want,
absolutely, and it starts with, shifting your perspective.
right? Being willing to embrace, a new way of thinking.
That's it. And remember, it's not about being perfect.
Oh, of course not.
It's progress, not perfection.
Right.
It's the small things we do every
The
day
little steps.
that make a
So
difference.
it's like, what was that saying? What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's about that momentum,
Right.
building it up
One choice at a time.
and being kind to ourselves on the journey.
Absolutely. Remember, you are your biggest critic, but you can also be your biggest fan.
So true. So true.
Celebrate the wins, embrace the growth.
Yeah.
Don't underestimate self-compassion.
That's a big one.
This has been amazing.
It really has.
I feel like I've learned so much,
Me too.
not just about the content,
Right.
but about how to approach life
Yeah.
with more intention, more power.
And that's what these deep dives are all about.
Yeah, it's not just knowledge, it's transformation.
Exactly.
That's what makes it so exciting.
I know that.
Always more to discover.
Oh, we were growing, always challenging ourselves.
To our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this one.
Yes, thank you.
We hope you found this as valuable as we have.
We really do.
Remember, the journey doesn't end here.
Keep exploring, keep questioning,
Keep growing.
and keep diving deep.
We'll see you next time.